All right, guys, attempt number 3. What's happening? Please fire up. I see that my mic's working. I see that YouTube is giving me the green light. Whew, third time's the charm. Let's share this over the Discord and see if we can get it going. Just gonna make sure this works in the Discord. And then we'll kick it off. Man, it is really fun working through these technical difficulties. What's up, David? What's up, Asleep? Josh, Akmal, there all you guys are. Terry, what's on? What's going on, guys? Josh. All right, now we're good. So, as I was explaining, Mr. Clean can finally comment. Yes, guys, fire your comments in there. You're all finally free. You can see the live stream. You can see Bitcoin rising. You can see me struggle daily with updating drivers for OBS Studio after my computer restarts. It's not always on my to-do list, so thanks for bearing with me. It's just one of those things that come with me being a one-man shop right now. So thanks for that and for your patience. So Nick, good to go. Glad to have you in here. All right, guys. So for the third time, I'm going to run through the intro again. This is always fun to do, but Bitcoin has gone up 1,000 since the restart. Something like that. It really has. All right, guys. So yesterday's video, well, first I'll just cover what we're going to go over. Bitcoin's going to rise back to the all-time high resistance. That was my projection yesterday. I still think it's going to happen. It's way easier to make that projection now because we're only $200 away. I still think it's going to happen. We're going to go over that projection, why it came true, and some kind of signals that can help for those of you who aren't continuing, or for those of you who want to continue to learn and not rely on me so much. I'll go over kind of how I was able to see that and some signals that could confirm even if you wanted to wait longer. And then we'll also look at Bitcoin Cash, why that part of the projection might not be coming true, because it definitely isn't sinking as much as I thought it would. And then we will also look at kind of do an alt strategy recap and go over my thoughts on alts, short-term trading alts right now versus being a long-term investor, two different ways to look at it. And kind of why I'm not giving any alt trade ideas right now. And just kind of how where we are in this channel and this kind of whole new era for Bitcoin right now. So it's more of a day-to-day strategy right now until I can develop more of a system. So I'm going to give you guys an update on that, and then we're also going to review Edgeless, which when I just checked and I was talking to myself here with no sound, it was still up about 10 to 15%. So that's the only one that's moved. ZEC is still hanging around that entry, and NAV is also still hanging around that entry. But we're going to go over just Edgeless today. And like I said, I don't want to cover too many alts, and I'll explain why. So looking at Bitcoin, guys, we are extremely close to the all-time high once again. It had been 2 or 3 days. Bitcoin doesn't like to make us wait too long for an all-time high, so it was only right. Technically looking at it and just understanding the bigger picture, overwhelmingly bullish narrative, fundamentals, news, everything, you name it. Futures continue to come out, improved or increased, I should say, favorable regulation or news from the CFTC. The CFTC is the Commodities Futures Trading Committee, or trading something, I believe. But they regulate Forex, commodities, futures, all that. I'm registered with the CFTC. I don't do any of that anymore. I'm not a broker, but from personal experience and just knowing how they work, they manage, control everything of kind of these speculative, these commodities and futures and stuff like that. So that's a really good sign that they gave the okay, they gave the green light. I think a futures exchange actually gave a date of the futures will start trading mid-December. I think it's December 18th. That might have been the reason fundamentally why we saw a pop. I was more looking at this from a technical perspective. Looking at it technically, guys, the chart I shared yesterday in the technical, what do I call it? Technical analysis education channel. We're looking for a cross above this RSI, this 50 midline that I like to use. We did get it. It retested and has since moved on. And that kind of lines up really nicely with the break of this white resistance. And this was the line we were looking at yesterday. I remember in the paintbrush tool, I drew you guys something like this. I thought we were going to see this. It probably didn't follow it that close. And then I said, this was the other scenario. Even if we are, moving down, this isn't Armageddon, this isn't massive correction, freak out. We're just going to test the brown support level again. So I'm continuing to see kind of some fear and just outright kind of ridiculous projections on Bitcoin and what happens every single time we drop. I want everyone to understand, as Bitcoin's price gets bigger, suppose, we do move to the next fib level up here, 14,000 levels like that, when we're at 25K, which seems like it's way in the future. Who knows? It might come quick. These $1,000 day swings are going to happen more often, not because Bitcoin is getting more volatile and the market is unstable, but just because, as Bitcoin's price increases, the percentage, $1,000 move is a much smaller percentage when it's a $25,000 or a $15,000 asset. If you look at the Dow Jones Industrial Average, it moves, it moves these massive levels, but no one blinks an eye because they're small percentages. So something to think about with Bitcoin. I know sometimes it does seem like large movements. What's going on, Matt? It does seem like large movements, but in the grand scheme of things, in terms of percentages, I still actually think it's getting a little bit less volatile. I know it's been very volatile these last couple of days, but Bitcoin is trending towards being a less volatile asset. So you're seeing it rise as I'm talking. So I too wanted to go over a couple of the indicators that you could have used if you don't want to rely on me as a crutch, which I 100%, this is my goal with the thing. I don't want you guys to use me as a binary signal, as only my advice or only my recommendations or only my analysis. I want you to be able to develop your own view and then see if it matches mine, or see if it matches mine and 3 other guys that you also respect. So that's how I want you to use it. And I also want, your view to be the one that you're really relying on, and use me as a confirmation or something like that. So how you could have done it, even if you weren't using me, and I know we're going to go in hindsight here, but I think it's still helpful to look at situations and look at different things you could have done. So yesterday we were looking at this white resistance line, and this was the key level, and I've kind of identified, this is the next resistance, this major 11.2 fib extension resistance. And then we have this brown support line, which is coming from back here. Someone asked me where that line's coming from. It's just a previous peak up to one of these peaks, and we've been using it. So those were the supports and key resistances I highlighted. We were also looking at the intraday, or the shorter time frame, this white resistance line. Like I said, we were looking for the RSI cross. Another thing that we were looking for, and that we talked about right before I went to bed, was looking for this 4-hour candle to close above, or a longer time frame candle to close above this white line, which we hadn't got yet. These were kind of false breakouts right here. We're waiting for it to close above this line, and once it did, price hasn't looked back. It's already up $1,000. So this once again kind of reinforces that view. You really don't need to be here all day, or to move fast, or all this stuff, or be the quickest. If you move a little bit slower, stick with kind of longer time frame things that help you confirm. I really think, at least for me, that's helped me better manage risk. It's also helped me make more money. I didn't trade this move. I really would have liked to. I was asleep, and I was also a little bit hesitant because of the risk reward. So that's that there. We did get the close above. We did get the cross on the RSI. I was looking at the 1 hour, and now we're moving up. This was also a bull flag that a lot of people were pointing out. So we are moving up. I imagine that we do test this resistance. It's my view that we'll break through. I'm not sure it'll happen right now, but even if it doesn't break through, I think you guys have a pretty solid understanding of what could happen. It's either going to come down here and test some kind of support level there, or it's gonna fall all the way back down to the brown support or the red support. But I'm gonna give updates as this goes on. It doesn't really make sense to kind of draw 2 or 3 day projections or predictions out there, because so many things can happen in the meantime. The next step is it either testing this resistance line or it breaking through. So that's what we're going to be watching from here on out. If you guys want to see what the next fib extension level looks like, I'm going to make it a habit now of just showing you guys these, because we always thought, just a couple weeks ago, we thought 8,000 was out of reach, was ridiculous, and now is the next fib level up. 11.2 was one that I talked about. And I even personally thought that was a bit ridiculous, but it turned out to be a great target. If we do break through, up in this 14,300 is where I have the next fib extension. So once again, I want to throw out the disclaimer. I'm not saying that we're going there. I am just saying that is where the next target up for me personally would be if we are able to break this and have a 4-hour. I would even look for a daily close above this. So that's what I'm looking at in terms of Bitcoin. I think a resistance test is next. Even if not, and it kind of stalls out here, you guys know where I think it'd be going. It's going to head to these next key support levels. Don't think it's a cause for panic. That's in terms of Bitcoin. I wanted to go over kind of the alt strategy and recap my strategy for that. These are different times now, just 30 days later from when we started the group. When we started the group, Bitcoin was following this normalized, I'm going to call it a normalized pattern, even though nothing Bitcoin does is normal. We were following this channel. It's hit the channel once, comes back down, hits the channel again. It followed this 3 times. Beginning of the month, this was a strategy a lot of us used. I used it. We moved into alts when Bitcoin was at the top of the channel or took profits. That worked great. Bitcoin gave us that dip. What do you know? It rose right back up after the initial dip, touches the top of the channel. Things are different this time because Bitcoin rose out of the channel. So that's a great thing and also a bit of a challenge. It means that this strategy I've been using for all of 2017 is now a bit void because we're kind of in a new trajectory and it's not exactly clear cut. You can't really say, what was best when Bitcoin hit the top of the channel and things like that. So for now, the alt strategy and portfolio strategy is going to be a bit more day to day. I can obviously give week and month projections, but it gets a little bit fuzzier if you do that. So it's going to be a day to day and I'll give you guys updates on that. That will, that kind of explains, why I'm giving more alt trade ideas or updates certain times and why there are days that I'm not giving as many alt trade ideas and updates. Because I work the same amount every single day. There's just different times where it makes sense to do something as opposed to where it probably doesn't make sense. So it's my view, and just like I said yesterday, I wasn't too fond of moving into too many alts. I liked the ZEC chart, and I also liked that NAV entry. But it was my view, Bitcoin, I thought we were going to move up. There's so many fundamental and just positive news things going on, and Bitcoin moving up, you know what that does? It pushes alts down. Now, if Bitcoin moves up really slow and steady and has a good chance of hitting this resistance or it kind of hangs in this range, sure, alts will do very well. But you guys know how I work. I'm a lot more conservative. I'm more focused on not losing money because your returns will probably still be positive at the end of the month, even if you just have the same amount of Bitcoin. So that's always the core focus for me. Once I have that strategy and I'm not losing money, I'm preserving capital, then I can start focusing on generating more Bitcoin. So that's always the first goal, and getting more Bitcoin is the second goal. Also, pardon my sniffs and my coughs. I believe I have a bit of a cold. I don't know if I said that when my mic was on or when it was off, but I want to say it again. Okay, so that's where we are on Bitcoin. That's kind of why I'm not giving too many alt trade ideas and updates. It's just so massively bullish Bitcoin, and I don't think we're really going to miss anything by not diving too deeply into alts right now. I don't think it's a bad idea to be in alts for a more medium to long-term play. A lot of the alt kind of dollar values, they're going to continue to rise as Bitcoin rises. So for the medium and long-term holds, I still think it's okay. I think alts are valued more cheap than they are expensive. So medium to long-term still makes sense. In terms of short-term and looking for all these trades right now while Bitcoin's doing this, I don't like it so much. And just to kind of remind everyone my view on alts, if you are investing for the medium to long term, then yeah, it makes sense to hold them in your portfolio. If you are trading them short term, a day or 2 days or a week, then you 100% need to consider what Bitcoin is doing, and that should be one of your biggest focuses if you're trading alts. That sounds counterintuitive. I think you guys all understand my view on that now. When you're trading an alt, you have to have such a good understanding of what's going on with Bitcoin if you're only trading it for a day or two, because if you don't understand what's going on with Bitcoin and Bitcoin's about to pop, and you move into an alt, I don't care how good that alt is or how good that setup is or how many indicators or catalysts are coming out, Bitcoin moving up is always going to suppress that. So my view on alts, my kind of philosophy on alts, and how I'm going to update you guys in this strategy. We're just in a new era, and it's going to be really fun to develop this with you guys and give you guys my updates, and hopefully, we can continue to use alts to make more Bitcoin. Right now, I'm using Bitcoin to make more Bitcoin. I'm doing a little bit more margin trading on Bitcoin than usual and staying a little bit more out of alts. So the alts for my long-term portfolio don't change. I'm not selling out of those. I don't want anyone to do that. I'm just saying for my trades, kind of staying out of the alt trades. Except for Edgeless, I like that, and I also took a small position in NAV. So that out of the way, we can look at those two updates. I want to look at Edgeless, which was leaving this perfect, this ideal entry that we'd been waiting for so long, finally happened. And we got it down here. I believe when I gave the update yesterday, we were somewhere in the 7,100 sat level. So we didn't exactly catch the bottom down here at 67, but the trade was at 71. So just looking at that and the movement today, it's something like, we've been up 15%. I think we're closer to up 10% now, especially depending on where you got in. Maybe you're up 5%. Akmo, oh, good point. I'm going to look at Bitcoin Cash. Very good point, Akmo. I'll get to that in 1 second. So I still like Edgeless. That news is still yet to come out, and I don't need to count down the days every single day, but we are getting closer to that announcement which they promised. We are relying on the team, and hopefully they come through. But technically I like it as well, so I'm okay there. Just the way Bitcoin is going and the way there's this local resistance, if you didn't get into this trade, I think you might have one more chance to do so if it retraces and gives you this chance. I really like this one. As always, nothing in crypto is risk-free. Every single trade you make carries a significant level of risk, probably more risky than any other asset. But in terms of managing risk and controlling that risk when we're trading, I do like this setup for that. So I like this setup. It reminds me of XCC, where the fundamentals really line up with the technicals. That trade worked out nice, and I expect this one will too. Really hoping the team will pull through. I might hop in Edgeless's Telegram or Slack or something. Hopefully I don't have Slack. I'm going to hop in and see if I can get some more updates on that. Wanted to update you guys on that. That's looking okay. Before I get into the two other alts, we'll look at Bitcoin Cash. I don't want to call this an alt, or I have to be so careful with what I call Bitcoin Cash now. Apparently, there's some people that get really offended, which is so strange to me. I hope there's no one like that in the group, and if there is, I really don't. I'm not offending you guys or trying to when I say Bitcoin B Cash or anything like that. Sometimes I abbreviate just because it's easier to abbreviate. So looking at Bitcoin Cash, so I forget who it was in the group. I think they added a support at 0.13. Somewhere in, what is 0.13? So 0.13. And I guess that support, yeah, from back here I can see a couple levels, and it was touched there. I don't view that support as too strong. I think it's just as strong as this kind of hidden support level that I charted the other day. I still have, so this part of the projection isn't coming true. I imagine that Bitcoin Cash was going to fall to 0.1, and at the same time, simultaneously Bitcoin was going to rise to this 11.2 fib level. It looks like Bitcoin is just kind of rising there by itself. It looks like, Bitcoin Cash has fallen, but it's fallen 0.005. So if it is to break this 0.13 level, I think that, then this is the next support I'm watching, and that would really be the last kind of push, would let Bitcoin get up there. Yeah, it is holding on that level, which is interesting. So that's definitely a support level there. Thanks for whoever pointed that out in the group. Really nice find. I'm going to add that, and I will have that in all my Bitcoin Cash chart updates. So that's the level of support we're watching there. I'm even going to delete my hidden one. So I think that's the key level. If it can break this, guys, and it moves down to that 0.1, I think that means really good things for Bitcoin, or whether Bitcoin breaks resistance and that causes Bitcoin Cash. Once again, I'm not sure which one's driving, but those are the two lines that I'm looking at. Resistance there and support here. So really nice find there. If you do want to speculate or kind of hedge yourself, if you are long Bitcoin, there's two ways to do that. You can short Bitcoin, which I definitely don't recommend, or not. I can't recommend anything. It's not what I would do. If I wanted to kind of hedge my Bitcoin position, I would take a position in Bitcoin Cash, and I'd be looking to do those along support touches. So either at 0.13, which I think is a little bit of a riskier play, or down here at 0.1 or 0.105. So I'm taking 0.105 from this level. Just taking this peek over here. So, you know, long at supports, short at resistances, buying at supports, selling at resistances. You guys know how I like to do that. So if you did want to, as a hedge play, I think I actually might do that. A little bit of an interesting play there would be to go long here. It's a riskier trade. I don't like it as much, but I think it makes sense. I think we are seeing some support there, or at least decreased momentum in the amount of selling. So that's my view on Bitcoin Cash. I don't see it going up per se, but it's for some reason the support is holding on. That's all I have there. ZEC, we're gonna look at Zcash. Where is it at? So Zcash, it is hanging right in that kind of riskier entry that I gave. Once again, similar to Edgeless, I always, in kind of all my trades, I like to give you guys a risky entry and then also give you the most ideal entry, which is along all-time low support. We're not there yet. I'm not sure we will get there, but we are still hanging in this first risky entry. So this kind of zone, and it looks like it's using that zone almost perfectly, which is always a bit strange when it seems to almost follow the drawings on your chart. So it's hanging in this support range. I like ZEC for a long-term play. Yeah, Matt, I'll check that out. I like ZEC for a long-term play. This trade really isn't attractive to me, and I'm not taking it. But I know a couple guys were still looking for trades. I like privacy coins, so it's a risk. I think it's okay taking. It's not a risk that I'm taking entering this trade. Wanted to touch on that because I like to update my good trades and my bad or neutral trades. Give you guys the full picture, and then NAV as well. So NAV, touch this support level that we've been watching. It's not as attractive a position as earlier. I think we did get a pop when they got added to that Korean exchange. It has since dropped down. I like this setup a lot more than the NAV setup. At least it's broken out of this resistance. But yeah, this was the only one you were taking, or did I mistake? Casper, so I'm in ZEC. I did enter that for the long term. I'm not in a trade for it right now on my Bittrex. So maybe I said that. I'm not sure. But I am not in that trade on I don't have a limit sell or anything like that. It's not a trade for me. So NAV, I am taking this. I am comfortable with this one in Edgeless. I don't like this one as much as Edgeless, guys. I don't see another catalyst. Maybe they have they do have some really nice things coming out and on the roadmap. I'm just not sure when they're going to get done. Technically, I think it's still clean, but it's just because of the exact thing I said at the beginning of the stream about Bitcoin. I'm just not too bullish on alts versus Bitcoin right now. So that is all I have for that. And then we already have one question. Matt wanted me to take a look at Bitcoin Gold versus Bitcoin. I've actually haven't looked at Bitcoin Gold yet, just because sometimes when they have almost no price history, it's a bit strange to chart. I remember trying to chart Bitcoin Cash. Josh, I'll take a look at that. I remember some of the guys, or even I, was looking at charting Bitcoin Cash, and it was just really difficult to do with almost no price history. So we're still just in a very new price discovery kind of pattern. So all I can really do is look for like the top wicks of candles, see how those line up, try to make a range for myself. It's just the price discovery is just so incredibly new. If it does start to respect one of these supports, then maybe I'll take a look at it. But no, I don't. I really haven't thought about this at all, honestly. When these forks come out, I kind of let them sit. I want to see how the market's interpreting them. I want to see if there's any development or anything being done. What is this? This is the GPU mining version of Bitcoin, is my understanding. So I want to see if this holds, if the market's going to dump, what's happening. So I'm gonna wait a little bit longer on this one, Josh. It's only been around or kind of on the market for 10 days. Or Matt, pardon me. Talking about deploying fresh fiat into Bitcoin. That's what Josh said. Some guys in the group were curious about deploying a new fiat into Bitcoin. Wow, I really don't like deploying fresh fiat into Bitcoin when it's out of this longer term channel and when we're on kind of an upswing. Um, I need to think about that more. I never really think. I just haven't put fresh fiat into the market in a long time. Um, I've just kind of been playing with that same stack that I had beginning in mid-year. If I was I do I do move some of my fiat that I take profit into, but I haven't done that in a while. I would be more looking for something it's inside of the channel. Like I said, we used to use this midline, so anything in the lower half of the channel would be a good time to deploy. Since we're kind of in this new era, if you're just dying to get that new fiat to work, so I think it kind of comes down. It's tough to answer these questions. It really comes down to an individual basis, and this is one of those areas where I'm just not able to give personal financial advice, legal reasons, and it just would be kind of impossible to give advice to so many people. But if you're deploying fresh fiat to trade, then I think it's fine. If you're putting in more Bitcoin so you can trade it on BitMEX or you can move into an alt or something like that, it's fine. In terms of long-term holding, I would really only be deploying fresh fiat if it's lower than kind of your average your dollar cost average basis. You can look that up on Google. It's a really easy thing. You always just want to be selling, higher than where you bought in and buying when things dip. So you always want to be lowering that dollar cost average. I don't like it. If we do get a chance down here again at this brown support, or if we get a chance here at the channel support, I like deploying fresh fiat there again. You guys know how patient, kind of conservative I am with trading. I would say I'm even more patient and conservative in terms of deploying fresh fiat. So that's kind of my view on that, guys. Sorry, there's not too good of an answer there. If it's money that you're investing for the long term, go for it. It's just so hard to kind of give advice. There's just so many different considerations for fresh fiat. Akmo, if there are no more questions from others and we still have time, XZC. So we're looking at Zcoin, long-term entry point, quick review would be good. Yeah, go over that. So looking at XZC, where's it at? So XZC is right about to touch that kind of support level that I was talking about yesterday. So this is the support level that I don't like as much. I don't think it's as strong, but it is the next support that I see. If it is to fall, I don't imagine that it's just so tough. I mean, if Bitcoin moves up, guys, this is the same reason that I'm not trading a lot of alts, is because it could just continue to push them down. It's one of those things that you're watching alts and you're like, oh man, there's no way it could fall farther. And Bitcoin, when it moves up the way it does, thousands of dollars, or it makes these 5 or 6% moves, that really pushes alts down. Not because alts are bad, but just because they're priced in Bitcoin. But this is the next support I like. That's really right where I got in, where I have most of my position is in this 0.03 to 0.032 range. So this is something to watch. That support for a long-term entry, I think it's going to be higher than that in the long run. If it does fall through, and I wouldn't like to see this too much, but I also wouldn't mind because in dollar terms, it's probably still doing well. I could see it testing that falling wedge again, or if it comes down to this green support level, I would buy even more XEC, and I already have so much that I almost don't like it, but I would really, really like it down to that level. So let's hope that doesn't happen. I mean, that's almost half of where it is. I don't think it's going to get down that low, but I think it could come down and test this kind of this old resistance if Bitcoin is to keep rising. For now, I like this. I like it as an entry for a long-term play. I don't like it as an entry still for a trade. There's really not too many alt entries that I like right now for a trade. I just don't like trading alt right now as much, unless you're comfortable with a medium to longer term play on it. That's just my view, guys. I'm a little more conservative. Akmal, I hope Bitcoin will not wreck it for sure. Great. All right, guys, fire your questions in. We have a couple more minutes before I wrap this up. And then I will get back to giving you guys some more Bitcoin updates. And then Nick also, I gave an ANN or kind of an update on how I might let in more people just for the read-only channel. You literally won't notice a change at all. Your group is going to stay the same size. I might just duplicate and have kind of a discussion room B for new people. So I'm going to make sure that it never grows to a level where I can't answer every single person's questions and that the discussion becomes a cluttered mess. I very well could do that, but I'm not going to do it because then it's a lot more about money and a lot less about actually providing value. So I was just trying to let you guys know what I'm thinking. Terry Nutkins, thoughts on fiat into ETH rather than Bitcoin? Terry, very similar with ETH. I gave an entry, and I don't know who it was for. I was talking to someone in the alt discussion, but I did like it, a retest of that. Here's the actual ETHUSD. I really like a retest of the ascending triangle since that's already happened. I would wait for another retest, or I'd wait for a resistance break of that fib kind of extension level I gave. Where is it? I have way too many ETHUSDs. So I would wait for a break above that. Hopefully you get resistance here and you can get another retest. It's similar to Bitcoin. It's like even if you're dying to get that fiat in, I really like being patient with my fiat entries to enter along support. It just time and time again, I just think it makes way more sense to stick with the strategy, even if you're dying to get that fiat in, and not chase. I would hate to deploy more fiat in these green candles, even if ETH all of a sudden rockets up $100. Just long term, following that strategy for me is a lot more important. I think it's a better way to manage risk, and I think you'll have a better outcome in the long term. One more question. We got Crypto Traveler. If Bitcoin is rejected at 11.2, would you wait for a retest? Would you wait for a retest before picking up depressed alts? That's a really good question. Crypto Traveler. So honestly, how I would play this and how I'm going to walk you guys through this, with how fast Bitcoin moves, I would be surprised if it doesn't test it in this next 24 hours. If it tests it and things get overwhelmingly bearish or some news or something comes out, I think right as it tests, I think we'll see BitMEX kind of price that shoot up because they'll think it's going to cross. If it for some reason doesn't and it moves down and we get a trajectory looking like this, I think it'd be a great time. Then I would be more bullish alts. I think it would give alts 48 hours to 72 hours. When we're in this range, alts were doing well. Maybe not so much in here because of the FUD, but alts were still kind of doing well here. If it does retest and move down, I think alts will do well. Bitcoin's rejected. Would you wait for a retest? I would wait before starting to really dive into trading alts again until Bitcoin, in my opinion, runs out of steam and has a better chance of hitting resistance, both technically and sometimes it's a bit strange to think about resistance like this, but like in a fundamental perspective too. It's like right now there's signals for technicals of RSIs and resistances and supports and momentum. I think there's also kind of signals and resistance levels and supports in terms of fundamentals. So there's only so much positive news that can come out, and futures and all this stuff's coming out, and CFTC okays it, and institutions want to get in and stuff like that. If all of a sudden that news kind of stops and news gets a little bit more bearish and we're closer to resistance, then I start thinking about moving into trading more alts. Hope that makes sense, Crypto Traveler. I just don't like trading alts too much right now, man. Bitcoin is increasingly bullish, still is. I've been saying it for probably a week or two now. All right, last one. It was Akmal. So you gave me an entry for ETH fiat at 390, and it happened exactly as I said. It is, it's a lot of fun when it works out like that. It doesn't always work out like that. But I remember that conversation. You were looking to get some dollars in there. If they were USDTs, it only hit 391, hit 390 and change. In terms of actual dollars, it did get down to 385. So it was $5 from the bottom of the dip. Always hunting the dips and looking to sell the resistances, guys. So we're going to keep doing that as the group goes on. Once again, first of the month, really nice working with you guys. Don't worry, even if you're not renewing, you're not just going to get kicked and booted from the group and you're out. I'll move you into a channel that reminds you if you do want to renew your subscription, if you want to keep working with me. If not, it was an absolute pleasure. I'm probably going to repeat this little line for the next 4 days. Absolute pleasure getting to know and working with you guys, and I mean that sincerely. I really do learn stuff from all of you guys and working with you and passing on my strategy. So it makes me better too. And really thank you for trusting me and kind of letting me working with you. So I take it more as I'm kind of your guys' employee working for you as opposed to you're my client. So just wanted to say thank you one more time. Really grateful for that. Thanks for everyone that tuned in for the stream. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow's Saturday, so we still have a full work day ahead. Live stream at normal time. We're going to go over a trading strategy. I don't really have anything in mind yet. I'm sure just the way my mind works, I'm going to come up with something by the end of the day. And yeah, I'll see you guys then. Have a good rest of the day. We're going into the weekend. I hope everyone has some good plans. There's a killer weekend lined up. Remember to take some time away from the charts. Go outside, spend some time with family, have some friends over, do whatever you need to do to regroup. I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'll be in the Discord the rest of the day. I hope Bitcoin can make that new all-time high, and I'm wearing a Bitcoin shirt in the live stream tomorrow. I hope it comes true. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Stay well.